next presentation is going to be T.J. Rogers, the President and CEO of Accurate Door Controls, at the age of 22. You want me to go back that far? All right, with over 33 years of experience, T.J. brings extensive technical expertise in security automation system design, software development, custom assembly, electrical installation, certification processes, and maintaining security automation systems for the correction industry, secure treatment facilities, and related markets. That's the longest sentence in the world. Committed to innovation and providing the very best in the industry, TJ communicates with key manufacturers to develop optimum products for his customers, utilizing the most non-proprietary technology and software to best meet their needs. Since 1989, Accurate Door Controls has grown to be the leader and the largest provider of automation systems in the corrections industry. And with that, I will give you over to T.J. Rogers.
So funny. Well, thank you, Joe, and I appreciate the opportunity. I'm T.J. Rogers with Accurate Controls, and we build security automation systems for the corrections industry and related markets. Just real quick about us, like Joe said, we started in 1989. Myself and a gentleman named Dwayne Virch. We started the company because the state of Wisconsin wanted to change the way things were being done. And they really, the approach back in the 80s and 70s, all the systems were proprietary for the most part. And the state of Wisconsin wanted to utilize non-proprietary equipment and software so they could maintain their systems. So that's how we got started, and we evolved and grew, and which brought us to today. Over the course of the last almost 35 years, we have done well over 800 systems. We typically keep about 100 projects in-house at any given time, and we have a lot of experience. We are a UL certified manufacturer of electronic assemblies, and the biggest thing we're known for is non-proprietary approach. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. We cover pretty much the entire United States and the Caribbean, and we've worked in other countries as well. We've done some of the largest projects and continue to do that today. But what we're here to talk about is innovation. Innovation for cost savings, innovation for functionality. One of the things that we work together with, and Mike talked about it, and this is something that we've been doing now for about 12 years. So I'm not sure if it's an innovation or a cost savings, but not all projects do this. A lot of projects do, but not all of them, and it's something that we call the modular control system. And basically, in a traditional approach to construction, a building's being built, and in the case of steel cell, the steel cell is built, and the building's built around it. And as the building's being built, equipment room's got to be built, and then conduits ran, and it takes forever. And then once the conduit's all done, they can start installing cable, and it takes a long time as well, with lots of people and coordination for those builders that are in here. It's an orchestration. Then once all the cable's installed, we can finally start installing the field devices. Locks are installed, intercoms are installed, light fixtures are installed, and then the building's finally up and running and built, and the last guys on the project site are us. And we set equipment racks and terminate all those different wires, which seems to take forever to anybody who's ever built one of these facilities. Then we mount the operator station, we can finally start the system, and now we can check it all out and certify that everything works. Takes forever. And many years ago, we had an electrical contractor that we were working with say, man, I could get this project into budget if I didn't have to install all that conduit and all that wire and cable. So we put our heads together and we said, well, we could probably do that. So what we started is an approach where we work with steel cell and we factory install all the conduit, the wire cable, and the devices. Okay? So it's installed at steel cell plant, and that time on the project site is deferred to the steel cell manufacturing process. Truck picks up the device, delivers it to the project site. All the cells are set in place. The building's finally built. One conduit's run with the cable, and now your system's ready to be started and operational. Pretty simple. But this innovation, we've been doing it a lot over the last many years. That's what it looks like. Mike just showed you how that all goes together. But these are the projects that we've implemented the modular control system on. And so we've done 7,317 cells. And we did a quick calculation based around many of the projects. And we calculate that we've saved, as a result of implementing this method, just under $19 million for these projects. Savings from the electrical contractor, low voltage contractor, and time saved. So it's significant. And it's an innovation that we're suggesting. And there's a lot of benefits to it. On the Wayne County project alone, it was just under $5 million worth of savings, and then Westville, which we talked about this morning, was just over $6 million, or it's just under $7 million. Bottom line, reduces schedule, it reduces material costs, increases serviceability. You have a bunch of things that are manufactured exactly the same, so you can maximize the efficiencies for service. There's no damages to the finishes. And the bottom line is it just brings a lot of savings. So that's an innovation for all you designers that are in the, architects, owners that want more serviceability. It might be a system that you want to consider. We talked a lot about this in the presentation this morning. IP audio communication systems. There's a company called Audiotech. It's manufactured here in the US. And we worked with them to come up with functionality that was being asked for. It was being asked for by corrections personnel, but also to solve the issues of mental health in certain environments. So like we talked about, we're doing sound masking, we're doing nature sounds, we're doing music, we're doing facility announcements. Another thing we're doing is time and date. In mental health treatment centers, or in those areas within your facility, you're taking away all of their belongings typically in that situation, right? So people lose track of what time it is and what day it is. So something as simple as being able to know it's Wednesday, right, at 3 o'clock. I've lost track of it as well. But so that's something that you may want to consider implementing in your facilities. And again, this system was created to not bring a whole lot of cost to your project. So in other words, we're doing the same thing, multiplying the functionality on the same platform. So in other words, there's not a huge cost impact to your project. So we're doing more with the same amount of things. The advancements in lighting control, and this is something that we talked about earlier. We've introduced LED lighting, and now LED lighting we can dim the cell or room, as well as control the light temperature. So we can make a more energetic environment or less energetic environment based around conditions. So that might be something else you want to consider. A new technology that, again, Kenall, we've been talking about this. See Frank out in the tent. This isn't our technology. We're just want to introduce it. And this is the Indigo Clean Light. Okay, and what this does is it's a light fixture that disinfects the room. It does bacteria and viruses. Okay, so what we're doing is they brought this technology from healthcare into the corrections market, mental health market. And what they're able to do is disinfect the room utilizing light. Okay, so it's really amazing. And they have two lighting. They have a white light and a blue light, and it kills the bacteria. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to try to explain it. However, they've figured it out. It works great. What we're doing is we're managing how this would work. So in other words, when a person's in the cell or room, we will have the white light on, and when they're not, we would turn the blue light on. And we have to manage that automatically based around occupancy. Okay, does that make sense? So it's, again, very much a collaboration. And these are all the awesome studies that they did to prove that it works, and it does, and this is what it kind of looks like. So it's a new technology. It's something that hasn't really been done in our industry, but wouldn't it be great in an intake area where you could clean the room, or in a medical area where you can clean the room based around the light? And I think, you know, I'm sure all your operators here would love that, especially, you know, as we went through COVID and things like that, how that could have really helped us. So this is a new technology. Frank, how long has it been around? Yeah. So it's something that I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of, and it might be a technology you want to consider as you move forward in your facilities. All right, so another thing we're going to talk about is video management systems and analytics, okay? So what is analytics? It's metadata. Well, what's metadata? Metadata is basically interpreting what a camera sees automatically. So metadata is a person in an area, a vehicle in an area, disseminating between an officer and an inmate or a patient, speed of direction, deviating patterns, things like that. In other words, what we're talking about is artificial intelligence, okay? And this is some of the things that we're doing. But over the years, video management systems, and your IT, I don't know if we have any IT professionals here today, but you're going to hear a lot of this. Well, we want video analytics. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is we want to interpret what's going on in a scene and tell an officer or an administrator that something is happening, okay? Years ago, there was two things that you have to consider. It was, well, not have to consider, there was a way to do it based on what's called pixel-based analytics. Now, what we're doing is it's transitioning to object-based analytics, okay? Now, why is this important? It's important because, as technology people love to do, we love to tell you about these really cool things that really you don't know anything about. Most people don't. The bottom line is, as an operator, what do you want to know? And again, going back to the design collaboration and the design assist approach, what we want to do is work with you to understand what's important to you, okay? So, we can generate certain things based around certain events. We can search video based around certain events, okay? Different manufacturers do things differently. And as we talked about earlier, you know, some manufacturers do things with a lot of cost after the sale. Some manufacturers don't believe in that. And so figuring out what technology is going to work best for you is really important. The other thing to consider when your IT professional says, or you want to do something, is false alarm reduction, okay? We call alarm fatigue. So if you get alarms that really don't do anything for you, what happens is your officers just just ignore it. So an alarm doesn't mean anything. So we want to make alarms mean something to your officer. So it's not something that happens all the time. So we want to make sure we're managing that when we're considering video analytics. Some of the things it does: slip and fall detection. Is a person walking, and we do this actually fairly often, where if somebody's running inside your day room, which you typically don't allow running inside your day room, right? But when a person is running, they're either running away from a fight or they're running to a fight. So we might want to tell the officer, you got people running, right? So we can predict now what's happening before or as it's happening versus a delay reaction. So it might be something to consider. Slip and fall, mental health, let's talk about it. What if somebody's laying on the floor? Wouldn't you want to know if somebody's laying on their floor in their cell? Where they're laying on their floor in their cell, okay? We do a lot, all these materials are built anti-ligature, but there's still ways to hurt yourself inside of a room, right, or a cell. So what we're doing is trying to mitigate and alert somebody that you might have a problem, okay? So those are all things that technology is helping with. So, hope that made sense. So video analytics, there's a lot of things that are changing. It's artificial intelligence, okay? Now, one of the things we talked about before is our company was one of the first to develop an intuitive design and icon that was based around what you see in the field. Make it look like your technology that you use every day. And the reason we do that is so we can transition people and get them up to speed on how to operate the facility safely and securely more quickly. And everybody's dealt with labor shortages and turnover, so this is something that's really important. You have an aesthetic design, also very important. The biggest part of this that we see, and we were at a facility yesterday, we walked with the owners, and they have a canned system. It doesn't always work for what they wanted to do. So what we look for is a collaborative approach to developing an operator interface based around the unique functions and operation of your facility. And that collaborative approach is very important to the success of your operation. Another thing that we brought to the market, we worked with the SCADA provider, I'm going to get into that in a minute, the people that build the software, but that is multi-touch navigation. So we're able to, like your phone, zoom in, zoom out, pan, sweep. And the reason this is important, going back in the day, everybody loved their giant control panels, right? You could see every door in your facility. You could see if it was unlocked or unsecure. Well, you can't do that with touchscreens, right? Well, you can in this application. You can zoom all the way out, and you can see every door in your entire housing unit. And this is a really important, and people seem to like it a lot. So it might be another thing you might want to consider as you're going through this. All right, so we talked a lot about this, non-proprietary. What does it mean? Well, our industry has a unique perspective, and this is an advertisement that was run in one of our news publications, and it said, advanced integration is proprietary, deal with it. And they ran this ad for many years, and this company is no longer around, so it's even more important. So this company had a proprietary system. Nobody could really work with it. So it's, as the person said this morning, it's a problem. It's been a problem in our industry for a long time, as long as I've been in the industry. So it's something we try to educate folks about so they don't have to deal with the ramifications of proprietary systems. So our definition is that anybody with a development license should have the ability to modify the software. CML's here. They're one of our competitors, one of our partners. We have a lot of respect for them. They build a non-proprietary system. We build a non-proprietary system. They've actually sent us their source codes, and we've authenticated it. They've authenticated our source codes. Frankly, they're one. We are the two companies in our market that are promoting non-proprietary approach to building security automation systems, and we think that's really important. What this provides to your staff is their ability to service the equipment to whatever level they feel comfortable with. In the case, and Jeff Sellers is from Moss is here, and we did Pinellas County many years ago and continue to work with them. We worked really closely with their maintenance department, their IT department, to create their own service group within the county. It was again a design assist approach that was extremely collaborative, and in the end, they have a service team local to the county that is self-sufficient. We support them when they ask, but they are very independent and do a great job of managing their own equipment and their own system. So it's something to consider. Now, one of the things, I'm going to go back to this a bit. One of the things we do is we define what non-proprietary is. The first definition is, should be able to service it with a development license, build and create your own software. The other part is not allowing any compiled files. And there are 4 or 5 in authentication process. So what we do as part of the process is give you the information so that you can avoid getting a non-proprietary approach through other folks that aren't going to disclose that. So that's, that is non-proprietary, that's Accurate Controls, and that's what we do. And now I'll open up to questions. Anybody have any? Yes.
From online.
Okay.
Has the cell lighting feature, dimming in color, discussed today, been implemented in any occupied facilities, and what feedback has been received from jail operators as to the effectiveness on inmate behavior?
That's a great question. So we've implemented in a few facilities. There was a study done by Dane County in Madison. That's one of the places that we talked about the first place, and they did a study, and it did change the outlook on it. We've done several county jails, and we're doing Westville with the technology right now. And the feedback we've received is it's helped dramatically with decreasing anxiety and frustration for folks that are there, and it's the more attractive place to be, if you will. Hopefully that answered the question. Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, when you were talking about the cost savings of the rear chase modular controls, I think one thing that we forget about a lot of times is what about the cost savings that the construction management firm receives by shortening up the timeline of closing down that job by 1 or 2 or 3 months. I'll think about that on a project of the size of the state prison at Westville, what the general conditions might be, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And then the other thing I think is, I think one of the really important things is for the maintenance department, if on the back of one of your cells that control panel goes down, well, then we don't have to look around and figure out which wire it is. The maintenance guy can come back in the secure chase, right? And then he can just pop it out and pop the new one in, send it back to the office and get it fixed, correct?
That's a great point, Joe. So yeah, every one of those panels is manufactured exactly the same. So if you have an issue, back in the day, or not back in the day, you would have to go to an equipment room, you have to troubleshoot where do the wires go for that cell, and a person has to troubleshoot everything that's going on. Now, you have a panel, you go to behind the cell. If you're not well versed in how to troubleshoot that stuff, you pop the panel out, you put a new panel in, you plug it together, and you're done. You repower it up. And that way you don't have to sit there and try to fix things in the field. It's kind of like modern cars nowadays. People don't troubleshoot cars. They don't adjust carburetors. They look at their computer and they say, well, you have a bad module. They replace the module. It's the same philosophy. Now, once you've replaced it, you can go back to your maintenance department and fix it, or you can send it back to Steel Cell or us, and we can service it. And it just makes it so much more efficient. As far as the time is concerned, I can tell you from our perspective, we can go in before the rest of the building's done, start up the day room, and test those cells and the intercoms inside that cell well in advance of the rest of the building being done. So it minimizes our time on site, but from I'm not a construction manager, but I have to believe that not having to bring different disciplines in that chase to run conduit, to run your cable, to mount your devices, it just minimizes all that time and effort and sequencing and potential for problems. Any construction management, guys, people, well, do you agree with that? Yes? Yeah, okay, good deal. Yes.
Two questions. One would be for the retrofit possibilities of the staff, which new applications and exposed, I wouldn't say, I want to say exposed, but could be implicated in this way, that you are opening up the system to third parties to service. How would you work with that to contain liabilities?
So let's address the security concerns first. So all of these systems are on a closed network. In other words, they're not connected to the outside world, okay? So your network, the system, is isolated to that facility. And we don't connect the system to the outside world unless you need service. Then you would plug it in and we or others could connect to it, okay? So the system's never connected to the outside world. Now, how we secure it further, there's a lot of things we do, like you can't have an outside IP or MAC address and things like that. So we manage the network connectivity very carefully to alleviate that. Now, let's say we built a non-proprietary approach. We give it to the owner. The owner decides, I'm going to add a door and an intercom and a couple of cameras. Well, now they have updated the program. What we ask is keep a copy of it and also share the updates so we know what's going on, okay? So if you need help and you would like our help in doing that, we could start at the same spot you left at. So we're able to navigate that very carefully. As far as retrofitting is concerned, retrofitting is completely possible. Pulling in cables, I mean, we're going now from typically an analog, which is either a 3 or 4 wire cable, to a Cat6 cable. Typically, you just pull out the old wire, pull in the new. Does that answer your question? Good deal. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, sir. Larry.
Your standard costs at one for a cell, the way you've been doing them or we've been doing them together, and then you would upgrade its capabilities with the LED fixture and the audio DAC and so forth. What kind of factor might that add in cost for owners and clients here?
That's a really good question. The cost, the light fixture is, from a traditional light fixture, it's a little more expensive. IP audio versus analog audio, what we're doing is we're shifting the electronics from the head end to the field, right? So now we have an intelligent device. So it's really a paradigm shift. So from an audio perspective, there's not very much cost at all. It's, because we're moving it from the head end, we're putting it out in the field. We're just moving where the intelligence lives, if you will. So it's not very much cost at all. Did that answer your question? I would say it's less than a 1.1. Somewhere between a 1.07 and a 1.1. How do you like that? Okay. Pretty accurate, actually. Thank you. Yeah, very accurate. Thanks, Joe. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much. We very much appreciate the opportunity to be here today.